Hello and welcome to the Valley of Death, where everything is spooky, but we keep things light. Now, you've probably noticed, I'm a huge fan of the Universal monsters. From Frankenstein, the Invisible Man, Dracula, Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Mummy, Wolfman. I love all of the Universal monsters. I love the movies, and they've just really resonated with me and my absolute love and fascination of horror. Nowadays, as you've probably noticed with my two previous reviews, they haven't really been represented well, which is why I got really excited that we were going to get a cinematic universe, to be completely honest, because I thought that this is now Universal Studios taking things a lot more seriously and trying to move forward with bringing back these monsters, especially since the Universal monsters were the very first cinematic universe of all time. When this trailer dropped, which was the legacy of Universal Studios monsters, I literally crapped my freaking pants with excitement. Yeah, it was all old footage, but holy crap, they were bringing them back to life. Heck, with a new freaking logo, the Dark freaking Universe. And all the music in this trailer was made by Danny freaking Elfman.
To a new world of gods and monsters.
Needless to say, this was basically my reaction to the trailer. Oh my God! Yeah, that's very accurate. Now, when the trailer dropped for The Mummy, that's when I kind of got a little bit more concerned. Now, I knew things were a little bit rocky when The Mummy was fully announced as, well, practically the beginning of the Dark Universe. And the reasons for this were because Universal Studios was saying Dracula Untold was the first movie in the Dark Universe. And you know my opinion on that movie. Basically, I thought it wasn't Dracula, but at least it was an okay movie, and honestly, a not bad beginning to something that could be a cinematic universe, even though they got the character, well, just wrong on so many levels. But they could have steered Dracula in a better direction, potentially in, well, sequels. When they basically said that movie no longer exists, and now they're starting things up again with The Mummy, honestly, I was very, let's put it this way, cautious. The remake of The Mummy came out in 2017, and it was directed by Alex Kurtzman. Now, if none of you know who Alex Kurtzman is, well, it's because he hasn't really directed anything. He's directed, like, maybe 5 things. But he is mostly a writer, and he wrote absolutely magnificent scripts, such as the one for Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. And heck, when you write in an entire scene of this,
I am directly below the enemy scrotum.
You know that you put your entire cinematic universe in good hands. The fact that Universal Studios was literally putting all of the weight on Alex Kurtzman when he had no experience of anything. Then on top of that, that this was actually the first movie when it was such a broken, flipping movie, was such a waste to actually begin this cinematic universe. The movie got lambasted by fans and critics by, honestly, it just being an overly broken movie. Just like The Wolfman, I really wanted to like this movie, but I mean, I think The Wolfman is a much better quality movie overall compared to The Mummy. This is just a mess, and you might be wondering why I own it. Well, it's because I'm a masochist. Anyway, we should probably go ahead and get started with this review. So, let's go ahead and dive into the first and last cinematic universe movie, The Mummy. Let's get this started. I really don't want to be here anymore. We open with the Universal logo, eventually turning into the Dark Universe logo. am so mad this universe didn't work out. And then after that, we move on to the Crusaders. Because how does this connect to Egypt? It's like having a movie all about Transylvania, but then starting off in Cuba. We then get a montage of the tombs of Crusaders which have been discovered by monorail diggers, only to be disrupted by Russell Crowe, who plays Dr. Jekyll.
The past cannot remain buried forever. A secret erased from history and forgotten to time.
If it's been forgotten to time, then how are you telling us this? After that, we then cut to ancient Egypt, finally, to be introduced to our main villain, Princess Amenet, played by Sofia Boutella. By the way, are you feeling any whiplash yet? This opening is one of the messiest openings to a movie I have ever seen. We start off with a bunch of Crusaders who add nothing to the plot, until the end, by the way. Then we have a dig that finds their tomb. Then we're introduced to a secret organization run by Javert, to another cut back in time to Egypt. All the while, we have been spoon-fed to the point of exploding a bunch of exposition. I just want a story, some characters, and something exciting, gosh darn it! We get some more exposition about Amenet and how she is in line for the throne, only to be usurped by a baby. Feeling betrayed, she sells her soul to the god Set. A bit dramatic much?
Set, the god of death.
Wait a minute. Set is the god of... Just wait 1 second, guys. Okay. This is the actual definition of who Set is. Set was the Egyptian god of war, chaos, and storms. What is he the god of again in this movie?
The god of death.
He's not the god of death! Anubis is the god of death! Didn't these script writers do any research before making this damn movie? So Set, the god of death, bonds with Amenet, and to be fair, I actually really like Sofia Boutella as the mummy. And as messy as this opening is, I do like a lot of the visuals. She adds a lot of physicality to her acting, which does make her honestly pretty creepy and imposing. I even like the design of her, with her iris splitting, the symbols on her face, and eventually her mummy wrappings, which I actually like more design-wise compared to Brendan Fraser's mummy, because it's a bit closer to the older Universal monster films. Too bad her character isn't as clear as any of the other mummies that came before her, because honestly, her motivations are not really that clear. She wants revenge on her father, fair enough, so she bonds with Set, but then she wants vengeance on all mankind, when they didn't do anything. And I guess she's not actually bonded with Set because she needs to bond him to some random dude to bring him into the physical world. There is so much information yet little explanation, and the information that we do get contradicts itself. How many writers did this movie have again? 3 for the story, and 3 for the screenplay. And then on top of that, you got Tom Cruise doing his weird meddling around with the script, so what do you get with that? You get a freaking mess! So the guards stop her, bury her alive, and we get to modern day, where we are introduced to our main character, Sergeant Nick Morton, played by the wonderful Tom Cruise, and Chris Vail, played by Jake Johnson.
We are not looters. We are liberators of precious antiquities. Right.
This is what the filmmakers kept telling themselves as they were trying to remake this classic monster movie.
I hate you so much!
This is what the audience was telling the filmmakers as they were trying to make this remake of a classic monster movie. These characters, well, to sum it up, they're dicks. Nick is just an awful character, and it shocked me that he's our hero. I understand that we're going for a roguish-like character similar to Rick O'Connell from the 1999 Mummy movie. But the difference here is where O'Connell was very roguish, charming, and was always looking after himself first, he did actually care for everyone else, protected them, and even warned them about going towards danger. Nick is just a dick.
I'm not going. What are you gonna do, stab me with that? Oh, no! Crazy bastard! It's a full day's ride to the nearest water!
Who cares for no one but himself, and this carries on for the whole movie, because he doesn't get any character development other than what is forced. I also love the forced comedy these two keep trying to put on. If you want to call this banter, you guys don't know anything.
Oh no, we're gonna die! Let me think! We're gonna die because of you! Just let me think! What? I'm thinking! What are you thinking? I'm thinking we're probably gonna die here. I knew it!
Comedy, everybody! So, Nick and Chris try surviving being killed by insurgents when Chris calls on an airstrike.
You did not just call it an airstrike! Oh yes, I did!
Which reveals
Haram.
after the commanding officer catches on to their bull, we are then introduced to Jenny Halsey, played by Annabelle Wallis.
Where is it?
What? Where's what?
Where she reveals that Nick stole the map from her after sleeping with her.
But mainly just amazed at your ability to mimic all the qualities of genuine human intimacy, if only for 15 seconds.
Miss Halsey and I did spend a delightful evening in Baghdad, a very long and satisfying evening if her reactions are to be considered sincere. Well, sir, as you can see, hell has no fury.
Gotta love that character-revealing dialogue. After realizing what they found, the sergeant forces Nick to go into the tomb with her to see what they can find.
You see any treasure in here, Nick? Because I don't. Keep it down. You keep it down. What are you doing?
Comedy! They discover the tomb.
This is not a tomb. It's a prison.
Yeah, it's a prison. Thank you for clarifying. When Nick starts getting visions of Aminet, then we get this. Because
Tell Greenway he's gonna send a team to get this thing out of here, or he's gonna have to explain why he left me behind. Do it!
Okay.
comedy! They take the sarcophagus out and some weird things start happening. A bunch of crows show up, Chris isn't feeling good after being bitten by a spider, and a huge major dust storm comes in. After getting on the plane, Chris seems to have gotten possessed and kills the Colonel?
Do you hear me talking to you? I said what?
Bam! Whoa! Whoa! Bam! Whoa!
Then Nick kills him gangsta style.
Bam! 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 Bam!
Then we come to a set piece which, to be honest, I thought was pretty dang impressive, and that is the plane set.
What the hell is that?
A ginormous flock of birds attack the plane, forcing it to crash. And this whole plane crash, other than the plane itself, is all done with practical effects, and it looks great, with the zero gravity and everything, which probably means this, and Tom Cruise, is where all the budget went. Can't pay good scriptwriters, but we can make this. The plane crashes, and Nick winds up in the morgue, where he is then visited by the ghost, I guess, of Chris?
Am I dead? No, but you're gonna wish you were. Please.
Oh my god, Nick.
Comedy! We then cut to the plane crash, where some officers are looking over the wreckage of the plane. Once again, I actually really like this scene. It's dark, atmospheric, and honestly, I think this could have been built to be a decent, dark monster movie. Not scary at all, but at least atmospheric, similar to the 2010 Wolfman movie.
Hey! You better come and look! I
like how the mummy sucks the life out of them and turns them into her goons. The way she crawls, once again, praise where it's due to Sofia Boutella for her performance. The music is good, and honestly, this leads me to saying some of the scenes in this movie are very well built for its atmosphere. I love the beginning because things do look and sound creepy. Then we go back to this crap. Jenny and Nick are discussing just how exactly he actually survived the plane crash.
How did you get out of that plane? There's not a single scratch on your body.
Basically the answer from all the script writers when asked, what is the plot of this movie? We get even more exposition, which this time around is just very lazy. Not only is she giving us information that we already know as the audience, but it's over a ton of footage we've already seen. If it was different footage, maybe I'd feel a little different, but this is just lazy. And this happens several times over the course of this movie. Nick goes into the girls' bathroom.
You walked into the chick's bathroom, by the way.
Classic. To talk to Chris, which, by the way, tell me if this whole thing with Chris doesn't remind you of something else.
What are you doing here?
Jenny looks good.
Okay, this isn't happening.
I mean, really great.
Okay, really, stop.
You know, I always thought I had a chance with her.
What?
Can I have a piece of toast? Get the fuck out of here, Jack. I realize I don't look so hot, David. But I thought you'd be glad to see me.
Look at me. Look at my face. I'm cursed, Nick, and you're cursed. And there's only one way to break it. You're going to do exactly what she wants.
Now, I'm really sorry to be upsetting you, but I have to warn you. We were attacked by a werewolf.
I'm not listening to this.
On the moors. We were attacked by a lycanthrope. And now I walk the earth in limbo until the werewolf's curse is lifted.
If you guessed American Werewolf in London, then congratulations! You've seen better movies than this!
This is going to get a lot worse.
After honestly another visually cool scene where Aminet is, I don't know, showing Nick her rat fetish, Jenny finds him and Nick says he needs to find the mummy's body so he can make sense of all this.
You should find the box, look inside, and when I see a 3,000-year-old prune in there, no more curse.
They travel to the Abbey and come across the mummy who tries to sacrifice Nick with the dagger that is so conveniently hidden a statue in this location. It's L-A-Z-Y, it's L-A-Z-Y, it's L-A-Z-Y, the scriptwriters were lazy. You said what about our movie? Nick and Jenny fight off the mummy and her goons and escape, only for them to go in a circle and end up where they started.
I drove right back to her. Oh my gosh, she's in my head.
Oh, just like the script for this movie. Oh, okay. I swear. That's gonna be the last joke I make about this movie. You know me so well. They try to escape again, only to end up crushing the van. The mummy tracks them down where Nick goes to fight her.
Alright.
Get her, Nick! Kick her off!
Well, that was quick. Our hero, everybody! The mummy gets taken down by soldiers, where everyone is brought to a secret facility run by Dr. Jekyll. This scene where Nick is brought through the facility honestly made me ridiculously excited as a fan of the Universal monsters. I love seeing all of the visual references to the other monsters, such as the creature from the Black Lagoon's arm, a vampire skull, things that I am really excited to see attached to this movie because I honestly wanted the Dark Universe to succeed. But it's attached to this movie, where the only thing that's consistent is exposition. Oh my god, I spoke too soon. This is, of course, Dr. Jekyll, or what I would like to call Exposition Central. Now, I love the idea of Russell Crowe playing Dr. Jekyll and eventually Mr. Hyde. I thought he was honestly the perfect choice. But he's so underused, and the only thing he does is tell stories.
A story about a patient of mine. A man of promise, a man who believed he was beyond reproach until he got ill. The disease manifested itself in subtle ways at first. And then it grew. For chaos. For the suffering of others.
Dr. Jekyll introduces Nick to Prodigium and tells him what we already know, that he's cursed and that he is the vessel for the ultimate evil. Set.
The god of death.
Once again, we get more exposition and more more old clips. A moment that pretends to be character development, trying to convince us Nick is a decent guy.
I care about you. Somewhere in there, fighting to get out, is a good man.
And then Jekyll's guys finally find the stone that belongs to the dagger that's supposed to bring Set into the world, where Aminette reveals to Jenny that Jekyll plans on killing Nick.
You brought my chosen here. What do you think they will do with him now?
And then we get one of the most offensive callbacks to the original Universal monsters ever.
Welcome to a new world of gods and monsters.
Okay. I'm cool, I'm fine. Alright. So why does this line piss me off? The line originally comes from the movie The Bride of Frankenstein, and it is said by Dr. Pretorius as he's talking to Frankenstein about the successes of Dr. Frankenstein and him being able to go ahead and actually create life. It works as a really great build-up to an incredibly memorable line.
To a new world of gods and monsters.
In this movie, dare I call it that, it's simply used as a, hey, there's a mummy out there and we're battling Set, the god of death. So, hey, welcome to a world of gods and monsters.
Welcome to a new world of gods and monsters.
You can't just use a line from a classic movie just because it sounds good. You have to give it weight! So, Dr. Jekyll reveals that he needs to kill Nick in order to save the world, where Nick takes Jekyll's vaccine to keep him from turning into Hyde. Why, though? I mean, Nick knew that this vaccine helps him from turning into something monstrous. Stop asking questions, Ned. And so, Dr. Jekyll turns into Mr. Hyde. Now this is something I was looking forward to. The fact that this was the first newish movie to have these monsters cross over, I was very excited. Maybe Mr. Hyde will fight the mummy. I know he'd lose to the mummy, but it would still be pretty awesome. But no! We get this fight scene between Nick and Hyde, and he's still giving exposition during the fight!
I'm offering you a partnership. You, evil incarnate, me, your good friend Eddie Hyde. Think about it.
While they're fighting, Jenny is fighting this random soldier dude and smacks him in the face with the Book of the Dead from the Brendan Fraser Mummy movie. Okay, I bet this was just an Easter egg, but how much do you want to bet that these were the filmmakers trying to be clever in somehow this movie might tie into the previous Mummy movies? Nick defeats Hyde, and Jenny and Nick escape, only for the mummy to escape too, because she possessed someone. And then she goes in search for Nick and the stone while wreaking havoc on London. Okay, now we're talking. The monster rampage scene. If there's anything that these movies got right, it's the monster rampage scene. I mean, I can only imagine what she'll do. Maybe she'll raise, like, you know, like a bunch of mummies, because she's in a museum that has a bunch of ancient Egyptian artifacts, as well as probably, well, other corpses, probably. And, or maybe she just, like, lets loose and just attacks a whole bunch of people as she's going through London trying to, you know, get Nick and Jenny. Okay, so, what do we get? You can't even get a monster rampage scene right!
Wow, that was intense.
Literally a recreation of the sandstorm scene from the 1999 movie, except it fails as that! What the hell, movie?! Okay, that was one scene. Maybe when she fights against these soldiers. You literally cut away from the action! Why? So Aminet raises the Crusaders from the dead and... Okay, another story issue. These are English Crusaders hundreds of years after ancient Egypt. How the hell are they her warriors? Did they leave the church? Did they hear of Aminet and decided to follow/worship her? Precisely! Nick and Jenny make it into the cave. Aminet finds the stone, kidnaps and kills Jenny, and then has her warriors get Nick, and then proceeds to have a heart-to-heart with Nick. Was that too quick for you? Well, the movie doesn't care, so why should I? So, Nick tries to take on Aminet, and he gets smacked almost as hard as the critics slammed this movie.
Let me take the pain away.
He grabs the dagger and is about to break it when...
Wait! Destroy the stone, and all is lost. You will have power of life over death.
No, you should break it! But no, instead he does the one thing that Aminet has been trying to do to him the entire movie! Yet it only sort of works because he did it to himself? Eventually, Nick snaps out of it and has another very lazy fight with Aminet and then defeats her. Nick then brings Jenny back to life because he's in love with her, I guess, where he tells her that he is now a monster and that one day he will come and look for her.
I wish we had more time. I'll find you. Goodbye.
Yeah, I can't wait for the sequel to this movie. We cut to Nick in the desert with, oh yay, he brought Chris back to life. Joy. While we close the movie with yet another narration from Jekyll and Jenny explaining events we just saw.
Henry, he used his power to stop Aminet.
And then something about a possible upcoming evil. I don't care. The movie's almost done. And Nick and Chris ride off towards the pyramids. And that's where the movie ends, and to be completely honest, it's kind of weird that they left it off on this note. Do you know what would have been cool? Maybe even made up for some of the movie and got us excited for a sequel? A post-credit scene! Yeah, how about you guys, like, show another monster? Maybe have Nick riding towards Castle Dracula, or maybe other Prodigium soldiers find signs of the Wolfman or some other monster. But no! We get this lame-ass ending which instantly killed any hope for the Dark Universe. And get this, just to show how lazy this movie is, it's shocking at this point, I know, but they literally put still images of the vampire skull and the creature from the Black Lagoon's arm in the bloody credits. This is an honestly lackluster movie. Out of the previous movies I've talked about so far, this is the one that really pissed me off. I know the Wolfman wasn't the start of a dark universe, but it did have some potential for a sequel, and maybe it could have tied into something. And then Dracula Untold, although, once again, not a great movie, it did have a decent monster character, and honestly laid far better groundwork for the future of this universe compared to this movie. The Mummy is lazy and completely uninspired. The fact that it just had so much riding on it with actors already picked out for The Invisible Man, Frankenstein's monster, and of course already having The Mummy and Dr. Jekyll, this could have been a pretty dang decent cinematic universe if it wasn't for this movie. Instead of focusing on its own good, unique story, instead it decided to go ahead and blow its load by basically just trying to be a mashup of literally any kind of movie it could come up with that's within a cinematic universe. All the characters are ridiculously unlikable, there is no sense to who the mummy actually is, and then, as I said, the movie is just a plain, downright mess. And this is a plot that I honestly wish stayed buried in whatever cursed landscape it belongs to. Oh my gosh, this was honestly such a huge disappointment, and I'm just incredibly saddened by this freaking movie and this franchise. I mean, is there anything good to come out of this? I mean, I guess we'll see. Next movie is The Invisible Man, and hopefully that movie turns out to be a lot better than whatever the heck this is. This has been the Valley of Death, where everything's spooky, but we keep things light. Tune in to Wednesday.